Hello everyone and welcome back to more TEW 2020 with AEW. We start off with Lady Bernice of the Queen's Court beating Harlow O'Hara. Lydia and Christina of the Queen's Court defeat Mel and Shanna. Shanna gets a strained rotator cuff. That's honestly not a big deal. Dragon Lee defeats Patrick Scott. Kota Ibushi defeats Griff Garrison. Lee Johnson and Andrew Everett defeat Willie Mack and Will Hobbs. And Mack and Hobbs have excellent chemistry. I guess that's a team now. And I think I already know what to call them, because it's kind of an obvious pun. Jeff Cobb defeats Derek Losley. Joey Janela defeats Keith Bolton. The Motor City Machine Guns defeat Sunkiss and David Fudra. And then Miroslav defeats Angelico. Alright, so on the pre-show, we show a thing of D&D. The party make it to a town, and they see someone that looks like Tony Khan. And Brandon Cutler is like, oh no, Tony Khan's stuck here too? Matt Hardy, he just kind of laughs. And he says, no, this is really the visage of the Khan, Tony. There are many in this world that shall resemble those we know in the world of reality, and this is no different. Warhorse, he kind of looks around for a bit, and then he's like, hey, so, should we talk to Tony Khan? Because, I mean, they're all employed by Tony Khan. And Matt Hardy nods, the entire group agrees, and Matt Hardy says, indeed, it may be beneficial to speak to those and learn of this world that you are trapped in. And, like, they kind of look around and they're like, wait, we're trapped in? And Matt Hardy's, you know, kind of just ignores that question. And they come up to the person that looks like Tony Khan and they ask him, hey, we're new here. We don't really, you know, we're from a different country. So, what's this place about? And Tony Khan tells them that they're in the country of Ulfrida, currently in the small village of the Neverlades. Peter Avalon asks where the capital of Ulfrida is, and Tony Khan points them in the direction of Maxonsville. And from that point, they might be able to go and speak to King Silver, and find out where to go from there. So the party, they gather some stuff, and then they leave. Again, this is leading to stuff, eventually, it's mostly comedy shenanigans. There's a reason that's on the pre-show. Don't worry. It should be on the pre-show at least, yes, good. Because angles don't say that they're on the pre-show or not. We start off the match proper with Ashley Flair defeating Awesome Kong. After the match, one of the Queen's Court hands Ashley Flair a mic. Hikaru Shida, the AEW Women's Champion. It would be obvious for a queen like myself to... Hold up. Smell it. It would be obvious for a queen like myself to go against such an opponent. After all, a queen deserves a crown. And what better crown than the most important belt in the company? However, I already recognize that Shida has enough competitors at the current moment in time. Mayu Iwatani next week, and Kana at Revolution. Well, it's certainly something, and far be it for me to rob them of those opportunities. Well, it's not much of a concern, because I'm starting off with something bigger. AEW has their executive branch well and truly involved in the company, and there's one woman in particular I'm aiming for, Brandy Rhodes. You'd best watch out, Miss Brandy. I'm going for the head, and I will take down anyone who would doubt me. Again, fair warning, this probably won't get good ratings. I'm still working on a new style of booking, so... yeah. Shotzi Blackheart then defeats Nyla Rose. And afterwards, Deonna Purrazzo and Tenille Dashwood come to the stage and they have mics in hand. And again, doesn't really matter who says what, and this is also just paraphrasing, but whatever. It's nice to see that the native beast found herself a playmate with the so-called Devil Warrior. Well, it's fitting that the two lowliest, most brutish women here, except, well, maybe Mary Dobson, had fun playing with each other. This punk with a fake tank and the self-admitted beast going toe-to-toe. I guess that's why you attacked Nyla when you debuted, huh, Shotzi? You felt a kindred spirit like we do with each other. Well, such is the way of the lesser women here. After all, who here are the VIPs? Who are the ones that are partners with your next AEW World Champion MJF? That's right, us. You have nothing you can do about it, Shotzi. So just sit back and keep playing with your toy tanks and your Viking cosplay. We'll wait. Then Shotzi, she leaps out of the ring. She's charging towards them. The VIPs, they run off. And, yeah, they want to get away from Shotzi because they're talking a big game. They're talking some smack. And they're probably going to get punched in the face. Darby Allin then defeats Davey Boy Smith Jr. After this, the Inner Circle without Jake Hager are seen in a fancy restaurant. And this is mostly Jericho talking. But he says, "Hey Kurt, congrats on winning last week against those partyholics and their pimp employer. Too bad that's the last title match you guys are going to win, and soon enough your entire clientele is going to be crushed to death by the best faction in all of wrestling, the Inner Circle. I'm sure you noticed a certain someone is missing. Jake's putting his heart and soul into making sure he can beat up Charles Betts in a legitimate match. Amateur wrestling, like you or your short-stacked client, have no match on MMA. Just like Dax and Cash have no chance of beating me and Sammy when we team up at Revolution. You're lucky I'm nice enough to tell you this early what our plan is, because I want you to know that we can beat you even when you have all preparation in the world." I can only put 3 of them on screen. Just imagine the entire Inner Circle except for Jake Hager is there. But yeah, you'll see a lot of, if you're looking at the Road Agent Report, a lot of storylines starting. I redid my storyline, so that could also feed into the show not being too good. Just completely redid everything. Even stories that are staying the same, I just shut them down, brought them back up. Yeah. After this, Kenny Omega defeats Matt Cardona with, I think that's the One-Winged Angel. Kenny sits down in the middle of the ring after he gets a mic and he says, "The AEW World Championship. The greatest prize in wrestling, just fingertips away. And I lost it. Moxley beat me fair and square. Even after all my preparation, I failed. Last week was the biggest moment for me, and then before he can finish that off, Adam Page's music hits. Hangman comes down to the ring, he slides in, and Page just bluntly says, "It's because you've forgotten who you are, Kenny. You've lost your way by abandoning everyone else, even the person who came here to try to save you from yourself, Kota Ibushi." And Kenny, he gets up, he stands up, he's very obviously angry, and he's like, "No, you're lying, you're just trying to get into my head like everyone else is." He throws the mic at Page, Page probably knocks it down, storms off, out of the ring, passes Page, doesn't say any words to him after that, after he throws the mic, and he's done. He's just done with Page, wants nothing to do with him. After this, we see MJF backstage with the camera on him. He says, "Now that my little distraction with that asshole Garza's done, you ready to get back to business, Jonathan? Garza claimed he was a god, and I stomped him out. And you're much, much more than Garza. I'm sure you didn't take it to heart when he lied and said you weren't a god. After all, I need you to have that confidence so that when I beat you in a month and a half at Revolution, people will realize that every single thing I've said is true. That everything I've said is just what I mean. I'm better than you, Jonathan, and you know it, because you see, I'm no god. In fact, I'm better than a god." For all you mythology fans, all 2 of you in the audience smart enough to truly appreciate it like I do, I'm like Hercules. I was just like everyone else, born a normal person, but I've worked my way to the top, and I've worked my way to be better than a god. Moxley, you came into the business, you came into this company already having that god status. You were this hit free agent that rolled into Dynamite and immediately stole the show, and why shouldn't we? And why shouldn't you be? You were someone from that great land of New England, right from the lap of luxury and the spotlight of the entire world. You already had the fame, you were someone expected to do well, and Tony Khan decided to appease the people, and, more importantly, he decided to appease you. Meanwhile, I started from nothing in this company. I didn't have those lights, those bright, shining lights that you had, Moxley. But now, I'm going to take that belt from you. Whether or not I take it from I take the strap from you, or from your dead body. I don't give a damn what you think you can do, Moxley. Come Revolution, your reign as champion, your reign as tyrant of AEW comes to an end. So yeah, Moxley, he had that mini feud with Garza, led up to New Year's. MJF won the feud, now going back to focus on Mr. Moxley. After this, the Private Party are seen right outside of MJF's office, talking to Wardlow. Godfather tries to convince Wardlow to let him in, so that they can have, they can talk to MJF to have a proper club to party at. And Wardlow refuses, says it's not his place to say what MJF, Tenille, and Diona will allow. Godfather then challenges Wardlow to a match next week with the Private Party, obviously. Once he sees Chris Bay, another employee of the VIP's club, coming by, and before either Wardlow or Chris Bay can answer, Godfather and the Private Party are already out. They're gone. They're not waiting for an answer. After a commercial, why do I sound like that? After a commercial, there's a cut to Taz in the ring. He has all of his team with him. He says, last week, we saw the Machine Brian Cage take down a little pipsqueak named Jungle Boy. Now, I gotta say, I feel for the kid. Anytime you lose a parent, it's rough, but I didn't think it was rough enough to go feral and start trying to cosplay as a dinosaur. See, when you got the muscles of Cage, the looks of Ricky Starks, and the size of Jeff Cobb, we don't need to pretend dinosaur. Jurassic Express's music then plays, and all three of them, they're in their ring gear. And Jungle Boy, he just says, I suppose you would know some dinosaurs personally, Taz. Obviously, taking a crack at his age, even though Taz isn't actually all too old. And Taz, he yells for a referee from the back, and one does come down, and this turns into an official match that Jurassic Express wins. After Marco Stunt pins Ricky Starks. Marco and Ricky having the worst ratings, Brian Cage having the best. Pretty decent showing. I don't have great feelings about this show in general, but whatever. Before the main event, Renee Paquette interviews Maki Ito and asks her about Abaddon, and more importantly about Abby, and Maki Ito says that this so-called Abby is not the Abaddon that I've known for the past few months. Abaddon is so different from this fraud that Chris Statlander manufactured. I'll never forgive Chris for stealing my best friend, my #1 supporter, away from me. That's actually a pretty good rating for Maki and Renee in a segment, with just those two. Our main event is Pac defeating Rey Fenix, and they have good chemistry. Phoenix and Kingston do not have good chemistry. Eddie Kingston rushes to the ring after the match, and Pac, he just, pushes Phoenix out onto the ramp as Killer Kelly hands him a mic. And Pac says, Eddie, I don't give a damn about you anymore. You can have those traitors in Penta and Rey. I realize now what you're doing. You're making sure that I can't reach my full potential. You're trying to hold me back, but I won't let that happen anymore. Cody, now that you've fired Brody Lee, it's time for me to go for your title. But I still think that would be letting you off easy, Kingston, if I just let you walk. No, instead, I think I'm going to let the rest of Brutality Inc. take you down. Donovan, Brian, Zach, Dez, Kelly, you do whatever you can to cause chaos. Just make sure that you win, no matter what the cost is. Cody, I'm going to win that title from you too. And that ends off the show with that declaration. 74. That... Huh. Well. Apparently, this is kind of working. I'll take a 74 very gladly. So yeah, we've really only got, 2 stories actually started? But, I mean, I'm fine with this. I'm still definitely working on this new booking style, but, I think it's going to work out pretty well, and we'll see where things go in the next week.